Tonight, I wanted to come to you all to talk about our new bonus sections that were added to our Kingdom in Real Estate Investing 101 course. And I need to go and grab Facebook, and then that way I can do a screen share, which I'm so hopeful I don't forget to do. But anyway, so let's get you all logged on first, and then we will go and grab Facebook so that we can start our recording. Let me see where I moved you all to. So here we go. So we're live over here. Welcome you guys that will join us tonight. I'm talking about Kingdom Real Estate Investing 101, and we've been talking about, or I've been talking about, adding some bonus sections. So tonight is the night. So hold on and let me go over here and grab Facebook, and then we all gonna go live together. Okay, so hey Facebook. Hey, Facebook, God bless you guys. Welcome aboard. So guess what? We have some bonus sections that have been added to our Kingdom Real Estate Investing 101 course. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go live. I don't want to try to fight with technology like I was doing the other night. So let me make sure that everything is working well on YouTube, and I'll be right back, okay? Sections that have been added. Okay, perfect. So we are live over on YouTube. Just wanted to make sure you can hear everything well. And so let's start talking. So I've already done several videos about our Kingdom Real Estate Investing 101 course, but I want to talk to you about who I am. And then I'm going to share with you the bonuses. And so my name is Garlinda Price. I'm a real estate broker and have been for the last 16 years, since 2009. I came in on the market crash. I was like, Lord, what is we doing, right? And so I came in on the crash. And how many of you know, and I talk about this all the time in the courses, that millionaires are made during a recession. Now is the time to run to the market, not away from the market. And so if you'll notice, there are so many professionals talking about now's the time to get in the stock market. Now's the time to buy stocks, buy low, sell high. So instead of being that person that listens to the herd, runs with the herd, goes with the crowd, cut off the news, get your pencil, get your paper, and start learning now how to invest in real estate. I know that many people, I hear all the time, I've always wanted to invest in real estate. I've always wanted to know how to do it. I've always wanted to know what to do, but they didn't know how to do it. And then you have all these courses that are for sale by the gurus, right? And they sell you the one course so that you can buy the next course, and then the next course, and then the next course. And I've been there, done that. Trust you me. Y'all, I'm old enough to remember Carlton Sheets, right? Right? And there's something great in every program, I would say, but it's only going to work if you work it. But this is not that course. This is a course that when you start our Kingdom Real Estate Investing 101 course, from start to finish, when you finish, you are going to know how to go out and look for properties. You're going to know what type of strategy you're going to implement. You're going to know next steps. You are not going to be lost or behind. Okay, so let me make sure that you all can hear me well everywhere that we are. So give me 1 second, because I know that sometimes technology can reign supreme. So let's make sure that we're doing good. Okay, so my husband and I purchased our first real estate investment back in 2006, was when we did our first flip. I'm just going to turn my volume up right quick, make sure I can hear. Hold on 1 second. Yep. Okay, so good to go. So 2006, we did our first flip, and I'm trying to think of the name of the street it was on, but it was here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so many things we didn't know. We didn't know about easements, and that particular house had a railroad track that sat behind it. We didn't realize how big that yard was until we had to go out there and rate the yard. And when I tell you it was a huge yard, it was incredibly crazy how big that yard was. And then we worked full-time jobs at the time, so we would have to go over there at night. So thank God it was close by. I talked to you in the real estate investing course about, based on your comfortability, your first property, you may want it to be close to you or within 30 minutes to an hour from you, so that if you have to work a full-time job, or you have a really full and busy life, And if you're going to be a weekend warrior, you're not driving hither, there, to and fro and taking an hour to 2 hours to get there, or a flight or a train, plane, or bus ride to get there. And then you become discouraged. And next thing you know, you don't follow through with your vision, and it ends up being a house that just sits there, right? So I talked to you about these things in the course. So we've been investing since 2006. We have invested in homes. We've invested in like regular residential real estate. We've invested in mobile homes. We have been landlords. We've done flips. We've done rent to own. We've done owner financing. We've done wholesaling. The only strategy I have not done is subject to, and that's because I love my real estate license, and anything that can kind of be a gray area, mama don't mess with. Okay. But that's not saying that you shouldn't do it. Also, we've owned a real estate firm since 2011. I sold it. I owned a property management company for about 5 years, Leesburg Property Management. Hey, Rashida. Hey, Shishi. My besties are here. And owned a property management company, had a property manager. We managed close to 50 rentals. We sold a property management company. When somebody offered to buy it, honey, we ran for the hills, sweet Jesus, because I love sales, right? So I'm just sharing all that with you to let you know that you're in great hands with me. I understand the market. We've done complete guts and teardowns, right? So when we used to have we were trying to get a TV show with, I'm just trying to get to where I'm gonna share the screen. We were trying to get our own television show with the DIY network. And so we had bought a house, and it was a whole house. Then all of a sudden, the house, we went to it one day, it had 3 walls, the 2 side walls and the front. When I tell you, it was the stuff of nightmares. But our television show was going to be called Price to Sell. It did air on the DIY network. It aired twice, and then Discovery Network bought up all the pilots, scrapped them, and did away with them, right? So when they bought DIY Network, it got scratched. And so doesn't matter either way, we got to be on TV. Yep. So my bestie said, you've done a TV show. So I say all that just to share with you that when it comes to real estate investing, mama knows her stuff. Last thing I'll share with you, for those I've not been blessed to meet, I was going to try to share this right quick, but those I've not been blessed to meet, I have also credentials that, just make you feel safe and comfortable, that I know what I'm talking about. When you're going to hire a real estate professional to help you become a successful investor, I talked to you about this in the course. You want people that know what they're doing. Don't go be hiring a part-time agent that real estate's not their full-time business. They've never worked with investors. They don't understand investing. They've never been investors. Mess you up. Right? So I am a certified international property specialist. I have transacted and brokered and referred business across the country, right? I mean, around the world. So over in Germany, over in Japan, and over in New Mexico. Not New Mexico, Punta Cana, right? And so also I'm a certified distressed property expert. What does that mean? That means that I understand how to look for, negotiate, and walk an investor through purchasing distressed properties that are REO, real estate owned by the bank. I'm a certified short sale and foreclosure specialist. I've helped successfully close over 75 to 100 short sales when nobody wanted to do them. So they gave me the moniker, the short sale queen. I didn't want to do them either. If truth be told, I was like, I don't want to do no short sales. I'm not doing that. And the Lord said, girl, Linda, go do short sales. And literally, it was the only thing that saved me in business at that time back in 2010, 2011. I forget when it was, about 2010, 2011 timeframe. And because I had the experience when everyone else was getting out of the business, I was blessed to stay in the business because of that. Let me let the internet catch up right quick. It says I had a poor connection. And then we'll get back going. Come on, internet. Okay, so I'm just trying to let the internet catch up since it says I have a poor connection. And then we're going to get back started. So we're going to share our screen. Hopefully over on YouTube, you can hear me well also. Okay, there we are. I knew the screen had frozen, so I was waiting on y'all to come back. Hey, Prophet Chiffon, God bless you guys. All the generals are here tonight. So before the screen froze, I was just sharing that I'm a certified distressed property expert. I'm a certified resort and second home property specialist. What does that mean? That means I understand the vacation home market. Why? Because at one point in my real estate career, I was like, Lord, I want to sell beach homes. Not only do I want to own a beach home or multiple beach homes, but I wanted to be able to sell beach homes. And so our slogan is from the capital to the coast, your realtor for life. And so I got the resort and second home property specialist. So when I was selling down on the coast of North Carolina, all the way from where it touches South Carolina, all the way over to Emerald Isle, heading out that way of Jacksonville, North Carolina, down that way on the coastline, right? The Crystal Coast. And the reason why I wanted the specialization is because the clients were coming from up north. I wanted to understand who was buying. A lot of people were coming from Raleigh, right? So then the last designation also is a certified luxury home specialist. So I have, nope, that's not the last one. Certified investor associate. So I know how to work with investors. So let's screen share right quick. Let me go figure out what I'm doing. But anyway, all those accolades are just to say mama knows how to help you when you are ready to take my course. So the reason why I honestly feel like the Lord called me to start this course and to create this course 2 years ago was because he knew what today would hold. He knew that today the economy was going to be in a weird way. The economy was going to be in a funky way, and people were going to be trying to figure out, what am I going to do next? How am I going to prepare for retirement? How am I going to save for retirement? How am I going to make my money be current? Right? Currency has to move, money has to flow. So how are you going to do that? But then so many people also are like, well, you don't have the money, or you don't have the credit, or you don't have the money nor the credit. And you hear all about no money down. Is it real? Can you really buy properties with no money down? Is it true, or is it a lie? So let me go over here where we can preview the course. That's what I'm trying to get to. So let's preview the curriculum. So the answer is yes to all of the above. Yes, you can buy property with no money down, but as a strategy around it, right? It's not completely $0, no money down, because you have to pay for termite inspection, termite and pest inspections. You got to pay for appraisals. Sometimes you have to pay for your home inspection. Sometimes you need earnest money deposits. Sometimes you need due diligence money. But guess what? I want to encourage you before we start previewing the course. You may have a girlfriend that has credit. You may have a guy friend that has money. And then you may have the fixability, right? You may have the time to research the properties, research the strategies, and you bring all those skills together, money, credit, time. And then you find somebody that's handy, right? Or you all hire a handy person together. And now you have this trifecta of people that can work together to begin investing in real estate, right? But tonight I'm going to talk to you about the bonuses that I added. We're not going to go through the whole course, just the new bonuses. But let me tell you that the first real estate investment property that we purchased back in 2006, it was 4 of us. It was myself, it was Marvin, my honey bunny. Shout out to my lamb chop, aka Lammy for short. It was myself, Marvin, my sister. Shout out to my sister, Dr. Patrice Carter. Love her, right? Bofa. And then her boyfriend at the time. So Marvin was the handy person. Marvin can build anything. I'm convinced that he came into the world like Paul Bunyan. I think he could build a house, right? So Marvin was the handy person. Treese was the person that had the real estate agent, who wasn't a great agent at the time. Now we find that out in hindsight. Now that I'm a realtor, right? But she did her best. She found the property. Treese was the researcher. Terrence, who at the time was our business partner, was the credit and the financing, because he was able to go and get the loan in his name. And then I was just the secondary. I was just Marvin's business partner, and we were there, and we were going to all work on the property together. And so what ended up happening was that we worked through the process. It needed cosmetic stuff. It needed the kitchen painted. It needed new flooring. It needed the yard to be maintained. It was in a great area. It was right over in Montclair off of Rayford Road, but the 4 of us pooled our money together, right? So I was able to be the listing agent. Was I able to list the property? I was able to list the property for sale, and earn a commission as a realtor. We were also able to flip the property. So Marvin and I, Treese, and then her boyfriend at the time, we split the money 3 ways. Right. So that meant that I didn't have to have the money. Marvin didn't have to have the credit. Treese didn't have to have the money. She didn't have to have the credit. And then the guy that was responsible for the credit and the loan knew a handyman. even though it all kind of fell apart, and I talk about that in our in the course, Marvin ended up being the one to finish everything out, right? We ended up being the ones that have to do the yard. And so everything doesn't happen the way you expect it to. Every property has its little surprises, honey, whether it's termites, whether it's squatters, whether it's sellers that change their mind at the end, or whether it's buyers that get, you know, cold feet. Everything has its every real estate investment is going to have a surprise that you just don't know anything about, right? But the blessing is real estate is the one thing that has consistently built wealth in this country, right? There's only three ways that you can become wealthy in the world, right? Business ownership. So shout out to my entrepreneurs, business ownership, insurance, right? And real estate. Those are the three ways to wealth, right? Entrepreneurship, owning your own business and owning a business that is successful, insurance, selling insurance and or investing insurance, and owning real estate are the true ways to wealth. And starting with your own home that you own, right? So let's get to these bonus sections. Oh, let's talk about price and then we'll get to the bonus sections, okay? So 3 ways that you can invest in this real estate course, Kingdom Real Estate Investing 101. You can pay $297 up front, be done with the course. The course is normally $498. The Lord, I was riding down the road, minding my business. The Lord said, Garland, to take $201 off the course. And here we are, $297. He then said, create, was it 4 plans? No, create 3 different plans, $297, 4 payments of $74, and I think it's 50 cents, or 10 payments of $29.70 spread out over 10 months. And guess what? For all 3 of those ways that you can pay, you have a year to take the course. You don't even have to rush through it, right? So if you're someone that works a full-time job, or you're like, you know what, I don't have a lot of time, or you just haven't been in school in a long time and you just kind of want to work your way through it, you have a year to take the course. Okay, so let's go down to the parts that I have added. I'm hoping I'll be able to show them. I cannot remember if I put them on the front of the preview portion. Oh yeah, I did one. Okay. So let me share the screen and Facebook. I'm gonna turn y'all around, honey. We having to use the bootleg way of doing it today. So let me flip my camera around. I'm gonna put you up close. So we want to talk about tonight. One of the bonus sections that we have in the course that I just added is the 2025 housing trends. Okay, 2025 housing trends. And I'm gonna turn y'all back around so you can see me. But I want to tell you what they are, and then we're going to talk about them. So some of the trends that are popular right now and that are on the rise are sustainable and eco-friendly properties, right? I'm going to move me over here so you can see me. So the one thing that we talked about and that we mentioned in another episode was how a lot of people are looking for sustainable and eco-friendly properties. They're looking for green properties. They're looking for properties where they can save economically. They're looking for they're not called huts, but they're, what is the name of that type of property? They look like a little igloo. They have a name though. And so people are looking for sustainable properties. Another thing that people are looking for is they're looking for energy efficient properties, because guess what? Everything has gone up. And so people are looking for housing trends where it's built out of sustainable materials. You're using energy efficient lighting. You're using energy efficient appliances. It's a green home. That's becoming a huge thing. I'm trying to see if I can make the words larger. One second. Here we go. Okay, so that made it a little bit larger. Here we go. And then also something that's becoming popular right now and a housing trend and demographic is a lot of millennials are starting to live at home with their parents. They're moving back home. What does that mean for you as a real estate investor? That means that if you're someone that owns a real estate investment, let's just call it a house, and the house has a shed out back, can you convert that shed into an ADU, or what we call an accessory dwelling unit? In Charlotte, North Carolina, those are a really big thing. Accessory dwelling units are big in Raleigh, North Carolina, and many state and local governments are starting to not frown upon ADUs like they were before. Basically, they thought that it was taken away from the tax basis of what they were able to receive or obtain from an owner. But now, because of the current housing shortage, ADUs are starting to become more favorable, and even FHA loans, which I'll talk about all the different loan types over in the course. When you log in, you sign up, and when you go to enroll enroll, you're going to hear me talk about loan types. So a lot of different FHA loan types are favoring real estate investments that have what we call an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit. Okay. And then a lot of millennials are wanting to buy older homes, right? So a lot of times it evokes memories of growing up at grandma's house and visiting grandma's house. And so people aren't necessarily looking for new construction. What they're finding is because the rates of new construction are so slow now, and the rate at which new construction is being built, that millennials are leaning towards older homes, the new, the mid-century modern homes, and even older, even more historical type homes, even though those come with their own set of issues. But let's talk about it. We talk about it over in the course. Okay, so also communal living and room sharing are emerging trends. I was just telling Marvin this a few weeks ago. I was like, honey, I said, a really great idea is if someone wanted to invest in real estate and decided to purchase a home, create a common area, like a common space, and then rent out the rooms, right? If that person wanted to be a landlord, they could buy a house, create a room rent situation where if you have 3 to 4 bedrooms, each individual room is owned by a different tenant, but they share a common area space. And lo and behold, as I do research all the time, every week, I'm looking at different investor videos, look at different market research, and that's a trend. So communal living and room sharing is starting to be an emerging trend in the market because home ownership is so expensive in a lot of areas. And because there's such a shortage of rentals, now as an investor, you want to think outside the box. Don't think like every other investor. Don't just think traditional real estate investing. Think outside the box because that's where the money is. And then also as a real estate investor, when you have communal living situations, first you got to go through zoning and make sure that it's allowed. We talk about that in the course. But with communal living, and when you have 3 people renting in the home or 4 people renting in the home, they share all the common areas, the dining room, the living room, they share the kitchen, they share the laundry room, right? But with that, you're able to make even more money on your rental every month because you have 3 to 4 people paying, or let's call it 2 people if you buy a 2-bedroom. You have multiple people paying versus one tenant, right? So that's a bonus section that we added. You want to think about location. And look, the class has homework. Yes, because when you leave the class, you're going to need to know what you're doing, what you're talking about, where you're going. You're going to want to know how to invest in the properties and come up with a strategy that's going to work for you and your team. Okay, so then let's look at the hottest markets. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I'm going to show you a few, right? You need to invest in the course and you can see all the hot markets. So I'm not going to open it up, right? So I've included a list here. I am going to do that. I ain't going to do you dirty. Okay, so I've included a realtor.com article here, and let's just show the top 5. Let's do that. So there's 10 top markets that are emerging in the United States. One is Colorado Springs, Colorado. And that's always been a really great area because also a lot of the military people end up getting stationed in Colorado Springs. Colorado is a really beautiful market. Miami, Florida, not surprised there, but you have to be cautious when investing in the Florida market only because people are also leaving certain parts of Florida because it's so expensive, right? Then you have Virginia Beach, Virginia, which I'm surprised about Virginia Beach, but it says it has 35 miles of coastline and sandy beaches. And it's home to the largest concentration of military personnel outside of the Pentagon. Come on, somebody in the chat, if you can, if you hear this and you can comment, why is that significant? I'm teaching you this in the course, but I want to teach you something right now. Why is that significant? It said it's home to the largest concentration of military personnel outside of the Pentagon, and the defense sector job market is thriving. Let's see if somebody comments in the section before I give the answer. Oh, I don't want any copyright infringement, so let me not copy that. Let me see if somebody answers over on YouTube. Why is Virginia Beach? Why is that amazing? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, just not to drag it out. So think about the fact that the military is transient sometimes, right? So that means if you own a residential real estate property that you have as a buy and hold or a BRRRR, I talk about the BRRRR method investing course as well. I'll tell you what that is in a second. But if you buy a property in Virginia Beach and you have it as a rental, as long as you purchase it properly, have it in an area that people feel safe, where families feel safe, you are 9 times out of 10 going to have a military person as your tenant who normally take really great care of properties. The VA guarantees their BAH. And now you have a property that is right in Virginia Beach. It says it has a plus 23.4% growth rate this year. It has the largest number of military personnel outside the Pentagon, so you're always going to be able to rent it. The BRRRR method is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So buy, renovate, rent it out, refinance it, repeat it. So in other words, what you're doing when you're doing the BRRRR method is it's one way that you're becoming a landlord, but also what it's doing, and I'm gonna flip y'all back in a second, with the BRRRR method, BRRRR, 4 R's, you're gonna purchase the property, you're gonna renovate or rehab the property to be in alignment with what other rentals are looking like in the area. I have a friend that he and his wife, they love the BRRRR method. That's all they do. They do some fix and flips, but they do the BRRRR method. Then after they do the renovation, they rent it out, they put a tenant in it, and then after they have the tenant in place, they pull some or all of the equity out through what we call a cash out refinance. And then they go and buy their next property, or they pocket the profit. And now the tenant that's in there is paying off the mortgage. And then they go do what? Repeat the process. So it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. I teach the BRRRR method, and we're doing a bonus section on the BRRRR method over in the course as well for those of you that want to be landlords, right? And we talk about that strategy, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Because there's nothing perfect, but it all works if you work it. And it's just determining what your what's the word I'm looking for? What strategy you want to use and implement. So then we have Richmond, Virginia, which I'm not surprised about Richmond, but because we went to Richmond, I want to say last year, and their downtown area is incredible, right along the James River. They've completely renovated that area. It looks incredible. It's full of history, walkable neighborhoods like Church Hill and Bellevue. So I really do like Richmond. Really cute area. And then McAllen, Texas, that's an up and coming area, on the top 5. Let's just do a few more. There's probably 25 on the list. El Paso, Texas, Little Rock, Arkansas, and yay, Greensboro, North Carolina. So I just found this out about a week ago that Greensboro, North Carolina is a up and coming market, is trending for 2025 and projected to be another boom town. Right? I'm going to talk to you about that over in the course, but it has projected market growth this year of 17.3%. Greensboro is a popular choice for families, offering a wide range of child-friendly activities. Residents appreciate the quiet neighborhoods, light traffic, easy parking, making it a convenient and peaceful place to live. But what's also about Greensboro is it's in the triad, right? What is it? Greensboro, High Point, is it Kernersville? I can't think of the other ones. I know it's Greensboro and High Point, but also Winston-Salem. And the reason why that area is getting ready to experience such a boom also is because Charlotte is becoming super expensive, right? And Charlotte has already continued to expand its borders. Shout out to the Queen City. But many people that can't afford to live in Charlotte could live in Greensboro. They could live in Kernersville. They could live in High Point. They could live in Winston-Salem and still have an easy commute, a little over an hour to get into Charlotte and go back home, but they could live where it's affordable. So these are markets that are up and coming. And so I talk about all the other hot markets and what to look for. We research the top 10 markets, and then I give you some homework. And then I don't think I made the other part where you can view it. So let me see if we can click on it. Okay, so I do want to talk about this part, and then we're going to stop here. House hacking, right? So this could potentially, and it's not no money down, but no money, no problem. House hacking, what is it, and should you try it, right? So I'm going to cut it off here. I'm going to turn the screen around so we can talk about the house hacking. So let me stop sharing. All right. And let me turn Facebook back around. Okay, so when we talk about house hacking and real estate investing arbitrage, right? We hear those terms thrown around. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, right? But what is a house hack? So a house hack or real estate arbitrage is where you don't actually own the property, but you make money off the property. What you talking about, preacher? So let's use a friend of mine. Let's use Rashida on here or Shafan as an example. So let's say that Rashida and Shafan each rent their home, right? Let's just say that each of them finds a home. They go and rent the home in their own name on their own lease. They put down their security deposit, right? And now they're the renting tenant of that home. But before they rented the home, they got permission from the landlord to sublease, right? So they negotiated their rent with the landlord. Let's just say that the landlord said, hey, I want a maximum of $1,800. Let's not call it that. Let's say the landlord said, I'm gonna give you a deal. You're gonna sublease it as long as I get my rent. I don't care what y'all do over here. Don't tear my property up. And let's say the landlord agrees to $1,200, right? So Rashida rents the house for $1,200. Shafan rents the house for $1,200. But they've already told the landlord, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, I'm going to sublease this property. Are you good with that or no? They say, yes, we're good with that. So they don't care as long as they get their $1,200 a month. Now, Rashida and Shafan are going to go and get insurance to protect themselves and call CYB, cover your butt, right? To protect themselves for people coming on the property that are subleasing from them. But we talk about that in the class, right? So now what do? Rashida and Shafan go find a tenant to take over and live in the property because they're not living there, they're hacking, right? They have a lease in their name. Rashida does. Shafan has a lease in her name, but they're giving their sublease to Amanda and Becky. So now Amanda moves into Rashida's property, Becky moves into Shafan's property, and Amanda and Becky each pay $1,800 a month. Where's the profit and where's the hack? So how much does Rashida owe her landlord? How much does Shafan owe her landlord? $1,200, right? But Amanda and Becky are paying Rashida and Shafan directly $1,800. So after they get their $1,800, Rashida gives what? The landlord his 12. Rashida just made $600, right? Shafan gets her $1,800. She goes and gives the landlord his $1,200, and now Shafan made what? $600. That's a house hack, right? But you can't do it without somebody knowing. They find out you subleasing their property, you breaking it, you broke the lease, you violated the contract, you might go to court, get sued. You don't want to do all that. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Just say, listen, I want a house hack. You can do it with a condo, you can do it with a mobile home, you can do it with a manufactured home, you can do it with a regular house, you could do it with an apartment, right? So that's what house hacking is. And now what's arbitrage? So arbitrage is similar, if not the same thing, but the difference is arbitrage could be where, let's say that you want to have a vacation rental, right? And let's use a condo or an apartment. So you have this condo downtown Charlotte, or you have this apartment downtown Atlanta, and of course you want to check the rules and the laws and the zoning for your area. Not everyone loves short-term rentals, not everyone loves vacation rentals, and nor do they allow it. So you got to find out for your area what will work by calling your zoning department, okay? I tell you that in the course, right? So Shafan goes to downtown Atlanta. Rashida goes to downtown Charlotte. They each find this amazing apartment. They negotiate the rent with the landlord and or the property manager, and they tell them, hey, I would like to use this as a vacation rental. You're close to the Panther Stadium. You're close to the Falcon Stadium. I want to be able to use this as a vacation rental, right? And so the landlord each says, okay, no worries at all. So now what they're going to do is they're going to post now these things need to be furnished, right? So think about the fact that when you're talking about doing an arbitrage like this is a furnished unit, right? Whether it's your furniture or somebody else's, but what if you don't have the furniture? You could go to Aaron's Rentals. You could go to anywhere where furniture is rented. You could rent the furniture to fill up the apartment or the condo, right? In downtown Charlotte, downtown Atlanta. And now you got to price the lease, the sublease, to offset the cost of the furniture so that you can not only make your profit, you can make your profit on between what you owe the landlord and what the tenant owes you, and you can also make your furniture payment, okay? You also need to pay for, if you're going to do a verbal or a short-term rental, you got to have cable and all that stuff. And just give you an example, we're not going to get off in the weeds, okay? So let's say now you've negotiated an arbitrage agreement with them and they say, okay, I'll let you rent out this condo for $2,000 a month in downtown Charlotte. Chiffon, you can rent out this apartment over here for $2,000 a month in downtown Atlanta. And now what can you do? With their permission, because they've already said you can sublease it, everything is in writing, you go and post it on the Verbo site. Rashida posts on Verbo Airbnb. Chiffon posts on Verbo Airbnb. And now you can rent this out weekly, right? So now let's say that you're renting it out weekly and you're able to clear $3,000 a month. You owe the landlord $2,000. There's $1,000 left over. You got to make your furniture payment, right? Let's call it $1,000 at the end of the month, gross profit. You got to make your furniture payment. You got to make the light bill, the electric bill. You got to make the cable payment, right? Let's call it that you have $500 left over at the end of the month for a property you don't even own, right? It's arbitrage. It's house hacking. You're not living there. Somebody, you're renting it out as a short-term rental. And so that's something else that we teach in the class. So there's so many different ways that you can make money in real estate investing. But what's the first thing you got to do? Take the course. You got to figure out, okay, what are the strategies? How do I go about getting the money? We talked to you about how to get the money in here. I already gave you one idea, which was to pool your resources together with friends or family members. And if you say you don't know anybody, go make you some new friends, right? There are plenty of people that want to pool their resources together and everybody do something, bring something to the table. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. So again, the class is, and I've shared the link here, but and I'll share it again. Let me see if I can share it here. I can't comment, but it is in the description of the live video. And then I'm going to share it again when we get off here on the post. Okay. So $297 one-time payment, or you can opt in for 4 payments of $74 and I think it's 50 cents, or you can make 10 payments of $29.70 over the next 10 months, 1 payment a month, and you have a year to take the course. So thank you guys for hanging out with me on tonight. Chiffon and Rashida, anybody else I can't see, I apologize, but thank you over on YouTube for being here with me on tonight. We're super excited. I want to share with you that the best time to invest in real estate to prepare and learn is right now. Right now, 90% preparation, 10% execution. Real estate is cyclical. It always comes back up. It is always going, the tenant will always pay your mortgage off, right? Somebody's always going to need a place to stay. We are not going to go back to a market where you find $80,000 to $100,000 homes that are move-in ready. It's gone. It's a wrap. Right. So now you need to get your mind wrapped around, okay, if I buy or need to buy a $150,000 house, how am I going to fund it? I talked to you about it in the class where you can go get hard money. And then I explained to you what hard money is. And so the first thing you need to do is, let's say you have bad credit, you want to start working on your credit. Why? Because hard money lenders will give money to someone that has less than great credit, but you're going to have to put more down because you don't have great credit, right? So I talked to you about the things that you can do in the class to get yourself prepared and ready to go. So then once you're ready to strike, you have everything that you need in place, okay? So can you do it with no money down? So can you house hack and do an arbitrage with no money down if you partner with someone? Because if you don't, you're going to need your security deposit, right? And you're going to need your first and last month's rent. You're going to need the money that you need to pay to start the furniture rental if you're doing arbitrage for short-term vacation rentals, things like that. But is there a true no money down? Yes, wholesaling, right? So I'm just touch on wholesale and I'm going to eat. I'm hungry, right? So I talked about this last time earlier this week. Wholesaling is where you know someone that has a property. Let's call it Chiffon and Rashida because I can see them on my page. Let's say that Chiffon has a property and she's not really invested in keeping the property. The property really doesn't have a big mortgage on it. She doesn't really owe that much on it. She inherited the property and she really has no interest in the property, right? And or maybe she got it, was going to do something with it. She changed her mind. But here comes Rashida, and Rashida's like, Chiffon, what you going to do with 123 Main Street? And Chiffon is like, well, I just want to make $80,000 off of it. And Rashida's like, $80,000. And she's like, yeah, well, let me help you find a buyer, right? So Rashida and Shafan go into a contract, a wholesale agreement contract, and where Shafan agrees to let Rashida find her a buyer, and Rashida agrees to pay Shafan $80,000. Now, Rashida may be saying, where the heck am I get $80,000 from? Stay with me, right? So Shafan said all she wanted was 80,000. Rashida said, okay, I can help you find a buyer. I'm going to go out here and find a buyer. And if I can sell it above what you're asking for, Shafan, are you okay with me making money on the difference? Shafan's going to say no, because why does Shafan care? Shafan just wants $80,000. So Rashida goes and finds her dad, and her dad says, well, Rashida, tell him about the property. And she tells him about the property, and they agree that he's going to buy it from Shafan through Rashida for $100,000. Okay. So now Rashida's not a realtor. She's a wholesaler, but she doesn't have to be a realtor because Shafan has a property that she wants to sell. Rashida wants to make money by brokering the deal. Rashida's daddy wants to buy the property. And so now Rashida's dad takes his $100,000 and Rashida does a buyer agreement with him. Okay. So now what Rashida does, I'm sorry, is she assigns her contract to her dad. So she takes the contract she had with Shafan and now she moves herself out of it and puts her daddy on the contract as the new buyer. Now they get ready to go to closing, and at the closing table, because Rashida is orchestrating the whole thing, the real estate attorney puts Rashida on the HUD settlement statement or the closing disclosure as a line item. For how much? $20,000. So Shafan gets her $80,000 less her expenses to sell the property. Rashida's daddy pays the $100,000 he agreed to pay to Shafan, less any expenses that he has. And the only person that didn't have any expenses and is getting ready to get paid in the middle as the middleman is Rashida. She just made $20,000. Did she have any skin in the game? No. Time. She invested her time to go and find a buyer for Shafan's house. She didn't even have a license, right? It's called wholesaling. And then she assigned her position to her dad. Her dad stepped in as the new buyer to Shafan. Shafan got 80. Her daddy got the property. Rashida got $20,000. That is really the only true no money down way about investing in real estate. That and the subject too. I'm not going any more in the weeds. It's in the class. Go take the class. I teach you all this stuff. You can do it. You can do it. 90% preparation, 10% execution. The money is out there to be made. You can do it. Don't overthink it. Right? Don't overthink it. People will tell you, don't go out there. I saw my mother's daddy's brother's cousin uncle did that. He lost all his money. Okay, he didn't take my course. No, I'm just kidding. Right? Sometimes you can make bad decisions. You can make bad investments. It does happen. Right? But use wisdom. Figure out what's going to work best for you that is within your risk tolerance and go make your money. That's it. So that's all I want to share with you guys tonight. But I'm Garlinda Price, your favorite real estate broker and owner, your investor strategist with Fusion Properties LLC from the capital to the coast. And I want you guys to make your money. The word of God says that money answers all things. Why can't she answer your questions? Why can't she answer you and say, yes, ma'am, how may I help you? Okay. So anyway, God bless you guys. I look forward to you all. Thank you for you all that have registered in the course, that have started your real estate investing journey. Shout out to you. I salute you for beginning to create the wealth plan for you and your family. You got this.